When I was a kid, my sister Julia took care of everything. She took care of all the cooking and the cleaning that my mom told her to. Every day after school, she would make my little brother and I food. So she literally took care of him and I as well. I remember when I was really little, she used to peel oranges for me, but then the juice would squirt into her eye. But that didn't stop her. She would then just take sunglasses and put them on and wear them while she was peeling. Actually what she also did too is she would help me with my homework from when I was in elementary school all the way up until long after she forgot how to do algebra. And she would just read my textbook and reteach herself how to do it and then show me. Now, even when I was a kid, I wondered though, who took care of stuff for Julia, and indeed who took care of Julia. So right after I graduated from college, we went on a special family vacation to Hawaii. I mean, I'd grown up going to Virginia Beach every year, but Virginia Beach was not Hawaii. If you've ever been, it is just like the pictures, but you're actually there in person. So the water is crystal clear and blue, the sand is powdery and white, and oftentimes when you're swimming in the beaches, you're flanked on both sides by beautiful, gorgeous, majestic cliffs. I actually don't really know how the word beach can describe both Virginia Beach and a beach in Hawaii. I think there should be a different word. So on the third day of this trip, my family and I decided to go kayaking. So we get to the rental place and there are tandem kayaks, and we can see this little island that we're going to kayak to and walk around. It's like a bird sanctuary. But it wasn't just as simple as pairing up and going off. We had to be a little bit strategic about how we paired up, because we had cargo in the form of my little 5-year-old niece and my little 3-year-old nephew. We also had my parents with us who were in their 60s, and so for instance, it probably wouldn't be a good idea to just put my parents with the nephew and niece and have them fend for themselves in the open water. So what we decided to do is I went with my older brother. We took my niece. My sister and her husband took my little nephew. Julia went with my dad, and then my 19-year-old brother went with my mom. So we all set off, and we arrive. We were one of the first ones to arrive because we were strapping and young and athletic. When we get there, it turns out that Julia was with my dad, and we expected both of them. Maybe he wouldn't be as good as her, but we expected him to hold his own. But what actually ended up happening was that he would just kind of stick his oar in the water intermittently at odd times, such that they was zigzagged to this island. But Julia managed to get them there in one piece. So we get there, and maybe one of the first people there, I think, okay, let me try to help usher these other boats into the island. So I'm standing right in front of actually Julia and my dad's kayak, when all of a sudden a wave comes and thrusts the boat right into my legs. I was standing in about shin-deep water. And it hurt, but it wasn't like a searing pain, and I think, geez. And I looked down to see just blood all over the water, and so of course the first thing I think is, shark! Sharks love blood! Everyone get out of the water! So I rush out of the water, and I sit down in my kayak, and when it all settles, of course, Julia is the one to come over. I don't even have to ask her to. She's also the only medical professional in our family, which isn't surprising because of her caretaking skills. Granted, wound care is not her specialty. She's actually a physical therapist, but because she's the only one in her family in the medical profession, we just treat her like she's a doctor and a nurse and a physical therapist all the time. So she comes over and she surveys the damage, and what we find is that on the top of my foot there is a flap of skin just hanging off like a trapdoor. And so now we're on this island where we're supposed to be walking around doing stuff. So of course she stays behind and she tries to just help me. I don't have anything. So she manages to clean it off. She gets the idea to take my t-shirt and carefully and securely wrap it around my foot as a bandage. I mean, MacGyver would have been proud. Now, while she's doing this, though, it's becoming increasingly evident that the wind out there is brutal, and it's just kicking up sand all over the place. So she's doing this in a sandstorm. And then so she gets the further idea to take a plastic bag that we had with us and put it on my foot as a sock and tie it off for further protection. So, I mean, the only reason why I'm not, bleeding all over everywhere is because of my sister, Dr. Julia, medicine woman, I'm not really in the mood to limp around on this bird sanctuary. So I stay behind, lying on this kayak with my foot propped up, and she finally joins my family and starts walking around. Now, I'm trying to keep the sand out of my eyes, so they're shut really tight, and then there's sand getting in my ears, so I'm covering my ears. And then soon after that, I hear crying, a child crying, and I think, oh yeah, my nephew and niece are probably miserable. And then so, soon after that, we go back. We didn't last very long out there. So we get back to shore safely. Now again, this happened on the third day of this vacation, so I did miss out on a few things for the rest of the vacation. The next day, we went snorkeling. I couldn't go because I couldn't get the flipper on my foot. The day after that, we went to a beautiful, majestic waterfall, and I couldn't go swimming because the waterfall came with instructions that said, if you have an open wound, don't go in the water, so I couldn't do that. I still actually have a scar from that wound now, but it would have been way worse if I didn't have Julia there to help me, because what she did was that every single day for the rest of that vacation, she would clean it, and she would put antibacterial cream on it, and she would dress it. My sister Julia is now pregnant with, 6 months pregnant with her first child, and I can only hope that I can take care of her and her little baby as well as she's always taken care of me.